The rain had stopped hours ago, but the ground of the market was still wet and muddy. Neon lights flickered across the rows of metal stalls. People from different worlds, humans, androids, and off-world traders, shouted prices, argued, and bargained over everything. Weapons, machine parts, even living beings. Ethan walked through the crowd with his hands in his jacket pockets. He didn't want to be there. He hated the trade bazaar. It smelled like oil, smoke, and sadness. But he needed something, or maybe someone, to help him fix his broken ship. He had only 20 credits left, barely enough for food, yet he was here, desperate. A voice from a corner caught his attention. 2 credits, only 2. You take her now. Ethan turned. Behind a rusty cage stood a small alien girl. She looked about 16, though it was hard to tell her real age. Her skin had a soft silver glow, and her eyes, bright turquoise, looked too human, too alive. She didn't move, didn't beg. She just stared at the trader, who shouted about her price as if selling junk. 2 credits? Ethan said quietly. That's less than a meal. The trader shrugged. No one wants her. She's trouble. Talks too much, refuses to obey. You buy her your problem. He grinned, showing yellow teeth. But pretty, yes? Worth 2 credits at least. Ethan felt something strange. Pity? Curiosity? Maybe both. He looked at the girl again. She didn't blink. She looked right into his eyes, and not with fear, but with anger. Why are you selling her? Ethan asked. Found her after the last raid. Some alien ship crashed outside the city. She's from there. No family, no ID, no value. The trader kicked the cage. Now she's cheap. The girl's voice was calm but cold. You think I am cheap because you don't know what I am. Her accent was soft, but her words cut through the noise around them. The trader laughed. See? Always talking like she's something special. She's lucky I didn't sell her for parts. Ethan felt his jaw tighten. Something about the way she said those words, "You don't know what I am," made him uneasy. Still, he reached for his credit chip. Fine, I'll take her. The trader blinked. You serious? Only 2 credits, no refund, no return. Ethan nodded. Deal. The cage opened with a rusty creak. The girl stepped out barefoot, her silver skin shining under the neon glow. She stood tall, silent, and looked at Ethan with eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies. What's your name? He asked. She tilted her head slightly. You wouldn't be able to say it. Ethan smirked a little. Then I'll call you something easier. How about Nova? The girl didn't reply. She looked away, scanning the crowd as if searching for someone or something that wasn't there. Ethan sighed and started walking toward the exit. Come on. Before I regret this. As they walked through the narrow streets, people stared. An alien girl and a poor human, not a common sight. Ethan didn't care. He just wanted to reach his ship and leave this cursed planet. After a long silence, Nova spoke. You shouldn't have bought me. Ethan glanced at her. Why not? You wanted to stay there? I didn't say that. Her tone was calm again, almost emotionless. I said you'll regret it, he laughed lightly. You sound confident for someone who was locked in a cage. Nova stopped walking. You don't understand, human. I wasn't locked in because they caught me. I was there because I let them. Ethan frowned. What does that mean? She turned her eyes to the sky where the faint outline of another moon shimmered. It means they were safer with me locked away. A sudden chill went down his spine. The air felt heavier now. He noticed her hands, glowing faintly, tiny sparks of blue light dancing over her fingers. Ethan took a step back. What are you? Nova's voice was soft, almost a whisper. You'll find out soon. And then she smiled. Not a kind smile, but one that held secrets, danger, and something far greater than he could imagine. The wind rose suddenly, lifting dust around them. Somewhere in the dark sky, a distant rumble echoed. Not thunder, not ships. Something else. Ethan didn't know it yet, but the moment he paid those 2 credits, he had bought far more than a girl. He had bought a story that would change humanity forever. The old cargo ship groaned as the engines came alive. Metal plates rattled, lights flickered, and a low hum filled the small cockpit. Ethan hit a few switches, muttering under his breath. Come on, old girl. Don't die on me now. Nova sat quietly behind him, her bright eyes watching every movement. She hadn't spoken since they left the market. Her expression was unreadable, calm but distant. Outside, the endless darkness of space waited, glowing with stars and secrets. Ethan finally sighed with relief as the ship lifted off the ground. "See, I told you it works." He looked back at her. "You can relax now. You're free." Nova didn't move. "Freedom," she said softly, as if tasting the word for the first time. Humans use that word a lot. Ethan frowned. "You don't like it? It's complicated." Her gaze drifted to the viewing window. "Freedom means different things to different people. For me, it might mean something you can't imagine." Ethan turned his chair around. "All right, let's make something clear. I didn't buy you to own you. I just didn't want to see you trapped there." She looked at him finally, her eyes glowing faintly. "Then why did you pay for me at all?" He hesitated. He didn't really have an answer. "Maybe guilt. Maybe curiosity. I don't know," he admitted. "Something about you felt wrong, like you didn't belong there." Nova tilted her head. "You're right about that." Silence filled the room again. Only the steady hum of the ship broke it. Ethan checked the scanner. Nothing unusual. They were heading out of the system toward the neutral zone, but then a faint alarm beeped. Ethan's brow furrowed. "That's odd." "We're being scanned. By who?" Nova asked. He pressed a few buttons. The radar blinked, a red dot following them fast. "Unregistered ship. No ID. They're tracking us." Nova stood up slowly, her silver skin catching the dim light. "They found me." Ethan turned to her sharply. "Who's they?" She didn't answer. She just placed her hand on the metal wall, and for a moment the lights of the ship flickered again, as if reacting to her touch. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked, stepping closer. "Listening," she whispered. "Your ship speaks in its own way." "It's scared." He stared at her. "You're insane." Nova looked over her shoulder. "You'll believe me soon enough." The ship shook suddenly as something hit the rear. Ethan grabbed the control bar. "Damn, we're under fire." Through the viewport, a black, sharp-edged craft appeared, silent but deadly, its surface shimmering like liquid shadow. "No signals, no markings, just darkness." "Pirates," Ethan shouted. Nova's voice was cold. "Not pirates, hunters." The attacking ship fired again, blue plasma slicing past their hull. Alarms screamed. Ethan pulled the throttle, trying to shake them off. "Hold on!" Nova didn't move. She walked calmly to the center of the cockpit and raised her hands. Her eyes glowed brighter, now almost blinding. The air around her started to vibrate. "What are you doing?" Ethan shouted. "Protecting your ship," she said softly. "Because you bought me, and now you're part of this." The light from her hands burst like a wave, flooding the cockpit in silver-blue radiance. The panels flickered, then stabilized. Outside, the pursuing ship suddenly froze, its lights dimming, engines dying. Ethan blinked. What did you do?" Nova lowered her hands. "I turned their energy back to them. It will take them hours to recover." He stared at her, speechless. "That's impossible." Nova smiled faintly. "For you, maybe." She walked past him, touching the wall again, and the metal seemed to hum under her fingers. "Your ship is old," she said, "but it listens. It's alive in a way. You just never cared to notice." Ethan rubbed his forehead, trying to make sense of everything. "All right, you need to explain what you are. Are you some kind of weapon? A machine, what?" Nova looked back at him, her expression calm but sad. "I'm something that shouldn't exist." The lights dimmed again, and she whispered almost to herself. "They made me to destroy worlds, and I escaped." Ethan froze. "You escaped? From who?" Her eyes turned toward the stars. "From the ones who built me. They will come." A chill spread through the air. Ethan finally understood. The girl he bought for 2 credits wasn't a slave or a victim. She was a storm. A living weapon that could wipe out entire fleets. Nova turned back to him. "You still think you saved me?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Maybe I saved myself." But deep inside he knew the truth. He had just invited chaos onto his ship. Outside, the stars flickered, one by one, as if something vast and dark was moving behind them. The stars outside flickered like dying candles as the ship drifted through the blackness. The silence felt heavier than before. Ethan sat in the pilot's seat, eyes fixed on the radar. The red dot that had been chasing them was gone. But he knew better. Nothing disappeared that easily in space. Behind him, Nova sat on the floor, her knees pulled close, staring at her glowing hands. The light from her skin dimmed and brightened with her breathing, like a heartbeat made of energy. Ethan finally broke the silence. You said they'll come. Who are they? Nova didn't look up. They are the reason I exist. They built me, taught me to destroy, and then feared me, he frowned. Feared you? Why would anyone fear their own creation? She finally met his eyes. Because I stopped following orders. Ethan leaned back. You rebelled. Nova nodded slowly. When you make something powerful enough to erase worlds, you don't expect it to start asking questions. They wanted obedience. I wanted choice. Her words hung in the air like a shadow. Ethan looked at her, really looked, and realized she wasn't just some alien girl. She was something between life and weapon, soul and machine. Then why didn't you destroy them? He asked, her eyes softened. Because destroying them would make me exactly what they designed me to be. The ship beeped suddenly, a long, sharp tone. Ethan's heart jumped. He checked the console. Incoming signal. It's encrypted. Nova stood instantly, her glow brightening again. Don't answer it. But before Ethan could react, the transmission forced itself through. The screen flickered. Static at first, then an image appeared. A tall figure wearing black armor, his face hidden behind a silver mask. Subject 07, the voice said, cold and mechanical. Return to command or be erased. Nova's expression changed, not fear but anger. You can't erase what you don't control anymore, Ethan whispered. They know where we are. The masked figure turned his head slightly. Human pilot detected. Release the asset and your life will be spared. Ethan felt his throat tighten. Asset? She's not a... Before he could finish, the screen went dark. The ship's lights flickered again. They've locked onto us, Nova said quietly. Ethan slammed the controls. Can you stop them like last time? She shook her head. No, that was one scout. This is a fleet. The radar lit up. 5, 10, then 20 red dots appearing in a wide formation. Ships of different sizes, closing in fast. 20 ships? Ethan whispered. All for you? Nova didn't respond. She closed her eyes and placed both hands on the wall again. A soft vibration filled the cabin. Your ship. It's scared again. Ethan clenched his fists. It's not the only one. Outside, streaks of blue light filled the void as enemy ships dropped out of warp. They surrounded Ethan's small freighter like wolves around a wounded deer. A voice echoed again through the speakers. Last warning, Subject 07, surrender or we will cleanse the sector. Nova opened her eyes. They were pure white now, glowing like twin stars. Then they will burn with me. Ethan stepped closer. Stop, if you fight them, they'll destroy us too. She turned slowly toward him. You shouldn't care, human. You paid 2 credits for me. That's all I'm worth, remember? Ethan stared at her. Her voice wasn't angry, it was broken. You think that's what I believe? I didn't buy you like property, Nova. I saved you because... He paused, searching for words. Because no one else did. For a moment, her glow dimmed. Something human flickered in her eyes. Doubt or maybe pain. The ship shook violently as a missile exploded nearby. The warning siren screamed. Ethan grabbed her shoulder. If you're as powerful as you say, then help us both, please. Nova looked at his hand on her shoulder. For the first time, she didn't pull away. You trust me? I don't have a choice, he said with a faint smile. But maybe that's what trust is. She closed her eyes. Then hold on. Her body lifted from the floor, weightless as energy poured out of her like a storm. The walls of the ship glowed blue and the engines roared with impossible strength. Outside, the stars blurred. The ship moved faster than light, faster than sound, faster than anything human made. The chasing fleet vanished behind them in a flash of light. When everything finally stopped, they were in silence again. No radar beeps, no enemy signals. Just darkness and the distant hum of the ship's heart. Ethan collapsed back in his seat, breathing hard. Where are we? Nova opened her eyes slowly. Somewhere safe. For now. He looked at her, sweat dripping from his forehead. You just jumped us across space. That's not possible, she smiled faintly. You'll learn that many things are possible when you stop thinking like a human. Ethan couldn't help but laugh nervously. You really are something else. Nova turned back to the stars. No, Ethan, I'm not something else. I'm what's coming next. Outside, far beyond their ship, a giant shadow moved, silent, alive, watching. And for the first time, Ethan realized maybe humanity wasn't the dominant species anymore. When Ethan woke, everything was silent. The hum of the engines was gone. The lights were dim, running only on backup power. For a second he thought he was dead, floating somewhere between dream and space. But then he heard it, soft humming like someone whispering to the ship itself. Nova sat near the control panel, eyes closed, hands glowing faintly. Streams of blue energy ran from her fingers into the broken circuits. The entire ship seemed alive again, breathing with her. Ethan rubbed his eyes. How long was I out? 8 hours, she said softly, not looking at him. Your body couldn't handle the jump. He stood slowly, his muscles aching. What about you? You okay? She opened her eyes. I don't sleep. Not the way you do. Ethan walked to the window. A strange planet filled the view, covered in thick green fog with lightning flashing across its surface. Where are we? Sector K-47. The map calls it Varus 9, but no one comes here anymore. Too dangerous, too forgotten, Ethan frowned. Why here? Nova turned to him. Because this place hides things the universe wants to forget. Her tone sent a chill down his spine. He checked the scanners. No signals, no ships, no life signs, nothing, just a dead world. But the closer he looked, the more he saw faint structures beneath the fog. Ruins, towers, maybe even cities. You've been here before, haven't you? He asked. Nova nodded. This was where I was created. The words hit like a punch. You mean, this planet made you? No, she whispered. The people who made me did. This planet was their graveyard. Ethan stared at her. Then why come back? Because they left something here, she said, standing up. Something I must destroy. They landed near the edge of a ruined city. The ground was cracked like old glass, glowing faintly under their feet. Broken towers reached toward the gray sky, and strange metal vines crawled over everything. Ethan grabbed his blaster, though he knew it wouldn't matter much if trouble came. I don't like this. Nova stepped ahead, moving silently. You shouldn't. They entered what looked like an old research dome. Inside, everything was covered in dust and silence. Machines lined the walls, broken, half-melted. But one chamber still glowed faintly, a faint pulse of red light beating inside. Nova stopped in front of it. This is it. Ethan came closer. What is it? A seed core, she said. A copy of my code. The same design they used to build me. If it activates, it can create another one like me. Or worse, Ethan blinked. You mean there could be more like you? Her voice was quiet. There were hundreds once. I was the only one who refused to obey. She pressed her hand to the console. The red light flickered, then turned white. For a moment, the air filled with a deep mechanical hum. Ethan backed away. What are you doing? Ending this, she said. I have to erase what they made before it falls into someone else's hands. But before she could finish, the ground shook violently. A burst of light filled the chamber. A figure appeared in the doorway. Tall, wrapped in black armor, holding a glowing spear. Ethan's heart raced. One of the hunters? Nova's face went pale. No, worse. The figure stepped forward, removing the helmet. Underneath was a face, cold, metallic, almost human. Subject 07, he said in a deep mechanical voice. I am your mirror. Ethan raised his weapon.
Her what?
The figure smiled, a human smile, but hollow. Her twin. Created to correct her mistake. Nova took a step back. They made you. After me. Yes, the mirror said. And they sent me to finish what you refused to do. He lifted his spear and the air rippled with energy. You disobeyed the command. You spared life. That makes you defective. Ethan aimed his blaster. Back off! The mirror looked at him with curiosity. A human? You bought her? Ethan didn't reply. The mirror laughed, low and cruel. You think she's yours? She'll destroy you, human. Just like she destroyed the others. Nova's eyes glowed bright blue. Enough! A wave of energy burst from her body, slamming into the mirror and throwing him back into the wall. Sparks flew. The air screamed with power. Ethan stumbled, covering his face. Nova, stop! You'll bring the whole place down. But she didn't stop. The two beings, light and dark, clashed again, energy lighting up the ruins like a storm. The ground cracked open, machines reawakening from centuries of silence. Then suddenly, everything went dark. When Ethan opened his eyes, the mirror was gone, and Nova stood alone, her glow dimming, breathing heavy. Is he dead? Ethan asked. She shook her head. No, he escaped, and now, he knows you exist too. Ethan felt the weight of her words. Whatever was coming next, it wasn't just about her anymore. Nova looked toward the storm-filled sky. The hunters were never my biggest problem. He was. The storm had swallowed the city. Winds screamed through the broken towers, carrying dust and the faint smell of burnt metal. Ethan's ship shook under the force of the storm, its old hull creaking like a dying beast. Inside, Ethan checked the scanners again and again. Still no sign of Nova. She said she'd be back, he muttered to himself, staring at the endless fog outside. She promised, but it had been hours. Then the radio crackled, a soft, static-filled voice. Ethan! He jumped up. Nova! Where are you? Her voice was faint, almost a whisper. Underground. I found something. Before he could reply, the transmission cut off. Ethan cursed under his breath, grabbed his jacket and blaster, and ran out into the storm. The wind hit him like knives, sand slicing across his face. He followed the faint signal from his wrist tracker, every step sinking into the soft, glowing dirt. He finally reached a collapsed tunnel leading deep underground. The walls pulsed faintly, veins of blue light running through the rock, and like the planet itself was alive. He slid down carefully until he saw her. Nova stood in a vast chamber surrounded by giant metal pillars. At the center, a massive sphere floated, humming with power. Symbols flickered across its surface, shifting between alien language and human numbers. What is that? Ethan asked, his voice echoing. She turned slowly. The source. The beginning of everything, he frowned. You mean your creators built it? No, she said softly. They found it. They thought they could control it. They used it to make me, and him. Ethan stepped closer, eyes wide. So this thing made you? In a way, she said. It's alive, but not like us. It's pure thought, energy that learns, adapts, evolves. The sphere pulsed brighter, and Ethan felt something inside his head. A whisper, not in words but feelings, curiosity, hunger, awareness. He stumbled back. It's inside my mind. Nova placed a hand on his shoulder. Don't fight it. It sees you because I brought you here. What does it want? To survive, she said. And maybe? To understand. Suddenly the chamber shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A cold voice echoed through the darkness. Understand? You mean to infect. Ethan turned. The mirror had returned. His armor was cracked, half his face exposed, showing glowing circuits beneath. You led him here, Nova said quietly. The mirror smirked. Of course I followed. You always leave a trail of chaos. He raised his spear, pointing it at the sphere. The source belongs to the command. Not you, not the human. Nova stepped forward. You don't serve them. You're their slave. I was built to obey, the mirror said coldly. Obedience gives purpose, she shook her head. No. It kills purpose. Ethan pulled his blaster, but the mirror moved faster, his spear slicing the ground with a wave of energy. The floor cracked open, revealing bright light beneath like molten glass. Nova jumped, striking him with a burst of power. Sparks exploded as their energy collided. Ethan ducked behind a pillar, the noise deafening. The air burned with blue and red light, like lightning trapped inside the room. The mirror shouted, You protect the weak. You've forgotten what you are, and you've forgotten why we were made. Nova's voice thundered. Their powers clashed again, sending a shockwave through the chamber. The source flickered, its light becoming unstable. Ethan's tracker beeped wildly. Nova, the core is overloading. She didn't stop. Get out! I'm not leaving you. Ethan, go! But he didn't move. He looked at the console beside the sphere. It was human tech, something added later. Maybe he could help. He started pressing keys, trying to stabilize the readings, though he didn't understand a single symbol. Then a whisper entered his mind. The same voice from before, deep and calm. Human, you wish to save her? Ethan froze. What are you? I am memory. I am what they feared. The light grew brighter. He felt warmth, power, and something ancient, almost divine. Nova screamed as the mirror hit her, sending her crashing into a wall. Ethan ran forward, pulling his blaster and firing again and again, the bolts useless against the mirror's shield. Pathetic, the mirror sneered. You think you matter? Ethan raised his chin. If I didn't, you wouldn't be trying to kill me. He ran toward Nova, shielding her body with his own. You're not alone in this. Nova looked up weakly, eyes glowing again. You shouldn't have stayed. And missed the fun? No way. The mirror charged again, his spear glowing red, but before he could strike, the source flared to life. A beam of light shot out, wrapping around Nova and the mirror both. Ethan covered his eyes as the chamber filled with sound and light, a storm of creation itself. Then silence. When he looked again, the mirror was gone. Only Nova remained, standing in the center of the light, her skin cracked with lines of gold. "What happened?" he whispered. Her voice was faint. "It chose." "Chose what?" "To give me what it took from them. Freedom." She fell to her knees, trembling as the chamber collapsed around them. Ethan grabbed her and ran toward the exit. Outside, lightning tore the sky apart, but he didn't stop. Not until the ship's hatch closed behind them. As they lifted off, the planet below began to break, giant fractures glowing with white light. Ethan looked at Nova. "You destroyed it." She looked back at him with tired eyes. "No, it destroyed itself. I only showed it the truth." He stared at the fading planet, realizing something terrifying. The war wasn't over. It had just begun. The stars looked different now. From the cockpit window, Ethan watched them drift slowly across the void. But they weren't the same stars he remembered. Some flickered blue, others burned red like dying embers. And far in the distance, the ghost of Varus 9 glowed faintly, still breaking apart. Nova sat quietly beside him. Her silver skin no longer shone. It was cracked with golden veins that pulsed faintly, like something inside her was alive and changing. Ethan finally spoke. "You haven't said a word in hours. I'm listening," she whispered. "To what?" "To the silence between stars." He frowned. "That's poetic but not helpful." She smiled faintly. "You humans think silence means nothing. Sometimes it means too much." He sighed, rubbing his tired eyes. "You absorbed that thing, the source. What did it do to you?" Nova looked down at her glowing hands. "It gave me memories that aren't mine. Voices, faces, whole worlds that no longer exist." "Worlds?" Ethan asked. "Yes, every species they destroyed. Every thought they erased. The source kept them inside it. Now they're inside me." He stared at her, speechless. "So, you're carrying the ghosts of the universe." She nodded slowly. "And they don't stop whispering." A faint alarm beeped on the console. Ethan checked it quickly. An incoming transmission. Unidentified source. "Weak, distorted. Could be survivors from Varus 9, he said. Nova's eyes narrowed. Or it could be him. Ethan swallowed. "Your twin." "Call him my shadow," she said. "He's more like what I was meant to be." The signal crackled again. A voice came through, low, broken, full of static. "Human, you shouldn't have saved her." Ethan froze. "It's him." Nova stood up, eyes glowing bright again. "How did he survive?" The voice continued. "The source rejected me, but it left me something. A gift. Pain." The screen flashed. And suddenly, a shape appeared in space ahead of them. A black torn ship drifting slowly, its hull half melted but alive. The mirror stood inside it, surrounded by broken machinery that seemed to move like flesh. Ethan muttered, "That's impossible. He's fused with the ship." Nova's voice was calm. "He's evolving, like I am." The mirror's face appeared on the screen, half machine, half light. "You can't run anymore, sister. You've become the thing you feared." Nova didn't flinch. "You always talk about fear, but you never feel it. Because fear is weakness," he replied. "And humans made you weak." His ship glowed, charging its weapons. "I will finish what our creator started. You were the prototype. I am perfection." Ethan grabbed the controls. "He's locking on." The ship shook violently as plasma bolts struck the hull. Sparks flew. Warning lights flashed red. Nova closed her eyes, placing her hand on the wall again. "He's trying to break through our shield. I can hold him, but only for a while." Ethan shouted over the alarms, "What if we fight back?" She shook her head. "If I use what's inside me, it could kill everything within 1,000 miles. Including us." "Then don't," he said firmly. "We'll find another way." Her voice trembled for the first time. "There's no other way, Ethan." He looked at her, saw fear, real fear, in her glowing eyes. "You're not alone anymore, remember?" Nova blinked slowly. "Humans always say that like it changes everything." He smiled. "Sometimes it does." Outside, the black ship charged another blast. The stars turned red. Ethan hit a switch, diving the freighter downward, skimming along an asteroid belt. Rocks shattered behind them. "Hold on." he yelled. Nova stood in the center of the cabin, the golden cracks on her skin spreading wider. Energy flickered through the ship's systems. Screens, engines, everything came alive like lightning. Ethan shouted, "Nova, what are you doing?" Her voice echoed, not just from her mouth but through the walls, through the air. "I'm giving it what it wants in a fight." Her body burst into light. Streams of energy shot from her hands into the ship's power core. The engines roared with impossible force. The ship became a streak of pure light, slamming into the mirror's vessel like a comet. For a moment, space itself bent, colors twisting, reality folding, then silence. The black ship broke apart, drifting into dust. Ethan gasped for breath, smoke filling the cockpit. "Nova!" he shouted, no answer. The ship's systems flickered and died. He looked around desperately until he saw her, lying on the floor, motionless, her golden cracks fading. He crawled to her side, shaking her gently. "Come on, Nova. Stay with me." Her eyes opened weakly. "Did we win?" He laughed through the smoke. "You tell me," she smiled faintly. "You're still alive. That's enough." Then her body glowed one last time, and the light flowed into the ship's controls, reigniting the systems. "Nova?" Ethan whispered, but she didn't answer. Her body was still, her glow fading completely. Outside, the stars were calm again. No enemies, no war, just silence. Ethan sat there, surrounded by the hum of the ship she'd brought back to life. His voice cracked. "You said silence means too much. Maybe now I understand." The radar blinked once. A faint signal appeared, unknown, distant. But in the static, he heard a whisper. "Ethan, I'm not gone." He froze, staring at the screen. The voice repeated, soft but sure, "Follow the light." And then the radar marked a new location, a point far beyond the known sectors, pulsing with the same golden energy that once lived inside Nova. Ethan smiled faintly through the tears. "Guess I'm not done yet." He gripped the controls, set a new course and whispered, "Hold on." "Nova, I'm coming." The engines roared, and the ship vanished into the starlit dark, chasing the last echo of a girl who was never meant to exist. The stars stretched like threads of silver as Ethan's ship cut through deep space. The engines purred softly, glowing gold, the same color that once flowed through Nova's veins. The coordinates she'd sent were beyond any map, past every known colony and trade route. He didn't know what waited there. He just knew she wanted him to come. For days he drifted through silence. No radio signals, no fleets, only the faint pulse of the golden beacon guiding him forward. Each night he replayed her last words. "I'm not gone." Sometimes he thought he could almost hear her, humming through the ship's circuits, whispering in the engine's rhythm. Finally, after 3 days, the beacon led him to the edge of a nebula, a swirling cloud of gold and silver dust. Inside it, something shimmered, a sphere bright as a newborn sun floating alone in the darkness. Ethan whispered, "What is that?" The computer scanned it automatically. Unidentified structure. "Energy levels." "Impossible," he smiled. "Sounds like her." As he approached, the ship's systems flickered. The radar jammed, the lights dimmed, but the voice came back, soft, clear, and warm. "Ethan." He froze. "Nova?" "Yes," she said. "You found me." His chest tightened. "Where are you? Are you alive?" "I'm not what I was," she replied. "The source changed me. I became part of its network, the code that connects stars, minds, and memories. I exist everywhere now, but I wanted to see you one last time." He swallowed hard. "Then show me." The cockpit filled with golden light. Slowly, her shape formed, not physical but pure energy. Her face glowed softly, eyes bright like twin suns. "Nova," he whispered. "You look different?" She smiled. "I'm what I was meant to be, not a weapon, not a slave, just free." He reached out instinctively, but his hand passed through her form. "I thought I lost you." "You can't lose something that became part of everything," she said gently. "I'm in the air you breathe, the stars you see." Ethan laughed softly, though tears blurred his eyes. "You sound poetic again." "Maybe I learned from you," she teased. Then her tone turned softer. "You gave me something no machine could understand, a choice." He shook his head. "I didn't give you that. You had it all along." For a moment they stood in silence, man and light, human and something far beyond. Then Nova looked past him, toward the nebula. They're coming, Ethan. His smile faded. Who? The command. The ones who built us. They know the source is gone and they're looking for me. Or what's left of me. He gritted his teeth. Then we fight, she shook her head. You can't fight them with weapons. They'll never stop until they believe their creation destroyed itself. So what do? She looked straight into his eyes. You help me finish this. You erase me, completely. Ethan's heart dropped. No, it's the only way, she said softly. If I stay, they'll track me. And when they find me, they'll find Earth too. Billions will die. He turned away, shaking his head. There has to be another way. Nova stepped closer, her voice calm but firm. You once told me that trust means doing what you must even when it hurts. He clenched his fists. You remembered that. I remember everything, she whispered. Ethan stared at the glowing console. It now showed one final command. Core erase YN. His hand trembled above the switch. I can't do this, he said. You can, Nova said gently. Because you're human. And that's what makes you stronger than them. He looked at her one last time. What happens to you? After, she smiled sadly. Maybe I'll still be in the light. Maybe when you see the stars flicker, you'll know I'm saying hello. Ethan's eyes burned. Goodbye, Nova. Goodbye, Ethan, and thank you for seeing me as more than what I was made to be. He pressed the switch. The ship filled with blinding light. The nebula roared like a living thing and then silence. All systems reset. The golden glow vanished. The radar cleared. The coordinates were gone. Ethan sat there for a long time, surrounded by the emptiness she left behind. The stars looked colder now, yet somehow he felt her warmth in every spark of light outside. He whispered, You were right. Silence means too much. Weeks later, a small ship entered human space. Its registry said no owner. Inside, everything worked better than before, smoother, faster, smarter. On the control panel, a small golden symbol pulsed once. Then a voice, faint but certain, echoed through the cabin. Hello, Ethan. Let's go home, he smiled through his tears. Welcome back, Nova. The engines flared like a sunrise, and together they disappeared into the light. Human and machine, two souls that refused to die.